Week 16 of the NFL season is approaching quickly. The playoff picture is starting to take shape. Some major injuries happened in week 15, and the waiver wire is the best place to improve our fantasy football teams heading into the second round of the fantasy football playoffs. Whether you're fighting for a championship or fighting to avoid that punishment, I'm here to provide you the best waiver wire pickups heading into week 16 to help improve your roster. So, without further ado, let's get into this video here on Blitz Sports Media. What's going on, everybody? I'm Blitzlink, and let's start with the probably number one priority claim is Michael Carter, running back for the Arizona Cardinals. Currently rostered in only 5% of leagues. Carter is going to take over as the team's primary ball carrier. Due to Bam Knight suffering an injury, he was carted off. It doesn't appear to be more than a sprain, but this will likely keep Bam Knight out at least 1 week, maybe multiple weeks. When Knight went down with that injury, it was a 53-7 snap split in favor of Michael Carter over Amari Demercado in a negative game script against the Houston Texans. We've seen this Arizona Cardinals backfield be in flux the entire season with James Conner getting injured, Trey Benson getting injured, Carter being in and out of the lineup, Amari Demercado being in and out of the lineup. Bam Knight has been the one steady guy. Now he is hurt as well. When he got hurt, Carter was good, 14 carries, 56 yards, that 4 catches. He does have 2 favorable matchups coming up in the Falcons and the Bengals, which should be closer games, a better game script for the Arizona Cardinals. I do think Michael Carter is a good plug and play option at the running back position if you need it, with a ton of running backs coming through week 15 with injuries. Let's get to a few tight ends here. We'll start with Darren Waller for the Miami Dolphins, my number one tight end heading into the week. Waller's only rostered in 35% of leagues right now and still is yet to play. He could have a nice game tonight against the Pittsburgh Steelers. From weeks 4 to 6, he had a monster run, averaging 15.2 PPR points per game. And it feels like right now, Darren Waller is that second option in this Miami Dolphins passing game, when Jalen Waddle obviously being the primary guy. But outside of that, it is Darren Waller's targets to go through. And this Miami Dolphins team has been much better offensively over the last month. The thing that I love about Darren Waller to close the season, his stretches the Steelers this week, the Bengals, and then the Buccaneers, who all rank bottom 12 in the NFL in tight end points allowed, especially Cincinnati, who has been a gold mine for tight ends the entire year. Look at last week. Dawson Knox, Jackson Hawes, and Dalton Kincaid all had a ton of yards and touchdowns in that last matchup, and they've been really bad the entire year. Darren Waller is a great pickup. Next guy is Dalton Schultz for the Houston Texans. Schultz has been on this list, it feels like forever. He just never climbs over that 50% threshold to get off this list. But since week 3, Schultz is ranked as the tight end 11 in fantasy points per game, commanding an 18.2% target share and averaging nearly 50 yards per contest. Last week against the Arizona Cardinals, had a really nice game. 8 catches for 76 yards and a touchdown with a 31% target share. That's some elite numbers, and it was nice to see him have that type of production with CJ Stroud at quarterback and not Davis Mills. A great sign going forward. His schedule to close the season is middle of the pack, but week 16 is enticing against the Raiders, who have been a mess on the defensive side of the ball for a couple weeks now. Dallas Goedert is coming off a really strong performance against them. With Dalton Schultz, he just has a safe floor based on his target share, ranking top 10 among tight ends in that mark. And that's the type of player that's not going to sink your playoff matchup, but provide you a high value floor at that tight end position that will not lose you a week. The next tight end is Colby Parkinson, and maybe the most intriguing of the three based on his usage as of late. He's currently only rostered in 4% of leagues, but he comes in as one of the hottest tight ends in football with 6 touchdowns over his last 6 games. In week 15 alone, he turned in an 18.4% target share for 5 catches, 75 yards, and 2 touchdowns, marking the best performance of his career. The big turnaround for Parkinson is that the Rams have gone heavy utilization and 13 personnel, where Parkinson played 46 snaps last week. With Tyler Higbee injured, they've actually played more in these heavy personnel sets, which has been intriguing. But I think that with Parkinson, the other intriguing part as well is Devontae Adams could miss time with this hamstring injury. And if the Rams continue to deploy these heavy usage formations, they're going to have opportunities for Colby Parkinson to have success. Looking ahead, they have Seattle and Arizona, who both rank bottom 8 in the NFL in points allowed to the tight end position. It feels like a no-brainer that Colby Parkinson is at least going to catch a touchdown in one of those matchups. I would 100% look at Colby Parkinson as a high upside add heading into week 16. The next guy, Luther Burden, he's been on this list for a few weeks now, but he had his best career game last week against the Cleveland Browns, 84 receiving yards and a 16% target share over the last 3 weeks. with 2.28 yards per route run. It was great though. Like the thing with Luther Burden is he's an electric option. His efficiency and first read usage have basically maintained the same, even when his snap shares haven't been low. Played 39% of snaps last week because of an injury, but still had 6 catches for 84 yards, which is great. He's been Chicago's primary slot option over the last 5 weeks since Olamide Zaccheaus had a bad game. Luther Burden took over from that point on. And with Romo Dunze in and out of the lineup, it's provided him more volume. Last time he faced off against the Green Bay Packers, he had 67 yards as well. So that's a solid matchup for him. San Francisco is also a plus matchup for him as well. So if Romo Dunze continues to miss time, Luther Burden just needs to be stashed on your benches. Honestly, more of a guy that you want in the 2026 drafts as a high upside option you're drafting. But Luther Burden, man, he's coming. He's a great football player and an incredible talent. Next guy is Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, running back for the Washington Commanders. Bill has returned you fantasy relevance in place of Chris Rodriguez, who's sidelined with a groin injury. He totaled 18 carries for 96 yards and a touchdown, and he was much more efficient than he has been throughout this season. Jeremy McNichols, the guy he split snaps with, only managed 22 yards and coughed up a fumble, which led to a bigger day for Bill. Ultimately, the Commanders' backfield is going to have one early down back, and then they're going to have the pass catching back, which is Jeremy McNichols right now. I'm interested to see if Chris Rodriguez does miss an extended period of time. If he does, Bill's value definitely takes a decrease. I do think he earned more snaps just based on his performance alone. They have the Eagles and the Cowboys over the next few weeks who have kind of struggled against running backs over the last month. So with Bill, it's a speculative ad. If you think that Chris Rodriguez could miss some time, he is a solid ad in fantasy. The next guy is Jayden Reed, wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers, rostered in 41% of leagues over the last 2 weeks since he returned. He's logged a route share over 65% and is tied for the team lead in first read targets. In week 15, he actually led the Packers in receiving yards with 5 catches for 55 yards. His usage has remained very steady with Christian Watson exiting earlier, and that is the main reason why he's an appealing ad for me this week. Christian Watson has been their number one over the last 2 months. He is now questionable to be playing. It doesn't look like he suffered a major injury, but this week is definitely in question for sure. But the matchups are encouraging for me with Jayden Reed going forward. His first read usage remains really solid. He gets the Bears and the Ravens, who have struggled against pass catchers the entire year. Bears currently struggling with a lot of injuries. I think Jayden Reed's a guy that you can plug and play in your flex spot and feel pretty comfortable having him in there based on his usage. And he also has a nice ceiling with his touchdown upside as well. Blake Corum has been reaching his ceiling for the Los Angeles Rams over the last few weeks. He has posted double-digit carries in back-to-back games, and he played a season-high 46% of snaps last week against the Detroit Lions, totaling 11 carries for 71 yards and a touchdown. The Rams have clearly tried to close the gap between Kyren Williams and Blake Corum. As Sean McVay mentioned, he wants to keep Kyren fresh for the postseason, but it's also been in a large part of how good Blake Corum has been in this system and continues to be a nice piece. Devontae Adams, like I mentioned earlier, could miss this one, and it could lead to a more ground-based attack against Seattle this week, providing Corum a little bit higher of a floor than he's had in the flex. He's definitely still an RB3, but if anything happens to Kyren Williams, he automatically slots into that top 12 running back conversation. Blake Corum, great football player. He needs to be rostered in every format. My favorite quarterback available right now is Marcus Mariota, still only rostered in 10% of leagues, and we don't know what Jayden Daniels' timetable is going to be, but with Mariota likely being the starter again in week 16, he just has a really high floor. He's rushed for at least 43 yards in 4 of his last 6 starts, and he's also been a very solid quarterback too. He's the quarterback 15 in points per game as his time as a starter this year, and that's incredibly encouraging because he's got some nice matchups upcoming for him, and he's been good in tough matchups as well. You look at the quarterback 3 performance against Denver in week 17, he gets the Dallas Cowboys. So Marcus Mariota is a quarterback that has a high floor, has a healthy set of weapons around him at receiver now, has performed in tough matchups. He just seems like a great option to have if you have Patrick Mahomes, who's now out for the year, or some other quarterbacks that you're streaming and struggling right now at the quarterback position. A few ads that we need to note due to injuries. Jawhar Jordan, running back for the Houston Texans. Jordan was a baller in week 15, 17 touches, 118 total scrimmage yards, and with Nick Chubb inactive, Woody Marks going down with injury, his production stood out, and he was the best running back I've seen, play for Houston this season in a one-game stretch. I mean, he was very, very good when he stepped into a role. He's also a young upside piece, and they can see what they have in him as they are fighting for this playoff spot. Week 16 is definitely a great spot for him to maintain that volume. If both Woody Marks and Nick Chubb continue to miss time, the Raiders are a favorable matchup for everybody right now. I think he's the guy that you definitely want to prioritize if you need a plug and play running back for week 16 when we hear Woody Mark news. The other backfield that seems like it's up in the air a little bit more is Evan Hull and Audric Estime for the New Orleans Saints. Devin Neal went down with a hamstring injury, and we have no clue what his timetable is going to look like. Obviously, Alvin Kamara is already out with injury. I'm interested to see if he does wind up suiting up again due to this team being out of playoff contention. But after Devin Neal exited, it was a true 50-50 split with each running back playing 20 total snaps. Hull handled more of the rushing work, while Estime operated as the primary receiving back. From a fantasy perspective, I believe Estime offers slightly more touchdown and PPR appeal just because of his receiving work, with Hull profiling more as that early down option and being more that standard guy that you want. I don't think that either of these guys are necessarily going to be world beaters by any mean. They're probably low end RB3s if Neal and Kamara miss time, but I do think that you can add them as speculative ads and see if they wind up taking over this backfield, and potentially you can plug and play them at running back. As far as the priority defense goes this week, it is the New Orleans Saints. Like I just mentioned, they're playing the Jets this week. Oof, that's a juicy matchup. Brady Cook, 3 interceptions. Tyrod Taylor and Justin Fields have really struggled the entire year, and they also have a nice matchup after that. In week 17, they're going to get the Tennessee Titans, and we all know the Titans are a matchup that you want to start a defense against. So New Orleans has actually been really underrated on defense this year. Grab them. They're a great play on the defensive side of the ball. As far as honorable waiver wire mentions go, quarterbacks, you got CJ Stroud coming off a 3-touchdown performance. Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers have a great matchup next week. And then Gardner Minshew against the Titans, all 3 quality streamers. Running backs, you got Jaleel McLaughlin. I think he's a priority handcuff for RJ Harvey owners. And then Malik Davis, a priority handcuff for Javonte Williams owners. I think Harvey and Williams will likely go in week 16, but if they can't, I would just be speculative and add those guys. As far as wide receivers go, Jayden Higgins' usage trending down, but deserves a mention. Darius Slayton had a nice game this past week. Jalen Coker, 5% in the league's own, had a nice game. Devon Villay, injured, but solid usage. Tight ends, Theo Johnson, AJ Barner, some good ads right there. And then as far as defenses go, you got the Bears, the Vikings, and then the Giants, I think are defense streamers you want to look at this week heading into week 16. As far as droppable players go, RIP the Chiefs offense. We're dropping Mahomes. We're dropping Kareem Hunt. We're dropping Xavier Worthy. All these guys are no longer viable in fantasy football. Jordan Mason hasn't been good over the last few weeks. Drop him. And then Alec Pierce as well. His role is screwed with Phillip Rivers at quarterback now. And then guys I'm not dropping yet, Jayden Daniels. We don't know if he's going to miss the rest of the season or not right now. It's still to be determined. Kenneth Walker, I know he sucks, but just hold on to him for now. Romeo Dobbs as well should get a nice boost if Christian Watson missed time. Lad McConkey has really struggled over the last few weeks, but there's no reason to drop him just yet. And then Colston Loveland as well. Hasn't had a solid performance in quite some time, but it looked like the Bears got him more involved in week 15. All in all, though, guys, drop any sort of waiver wire questions you have down in the comments section below. Hit that subscribe button for more Blitz fantasy football content, and I'll catch you guys next time.